Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to be wrapping up my 2017 reading goals and talk about my 2018 reading goals. Now this is the third time I've tried to film this video, so halfway through this video you'll actually get past me with a completely different look on a completely different day, wrapping it up, because I've tried to film this first part of this video 2 different times before, one on a different day and one today, earlier today, and it got corrupted both times. So I don't know what's happening. The world does not want me to talk about 2017 apparently. Halfway through the video it'll switch to past me since I have that footage and I don't have a lot of time and I don't want to have to refilm the whole thing just so I can look the same. So bear with me. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I've been hexed or something. So for 2017, my biggest goal was to read 52 books in the year, and I ended up reading 62. So I ended up finishing it back in October, which was great. I wasn't scrambling until the end, and it was wonderful. I didn't set it too high. It was manageable, even with my really busy work, school, BookNet Fest, this internship schedule. I was able to do it. So as far as a breakdown of what I read, 39 of those books were fantasy and 12 were science fiction, for a total of 51 SFF books. So if you guys weren't already aware, I am a science fiction and fantasy channel. Yes, I'll read other things. Yes, I like other things, but this is fully confirmed. Your girl's an SFF channel. Of the other genres I read, there was 9 contemporary and 1 historical fiction. I always say I like historical fiction and then I never read it. Of the authors that I read, 43 were female and 19 were male, so obviously I read multiple books by the same authors and like in the same series and stuff, but of all the authors I did read, the majority were female. I was not surprised by that at all. An interesting thing for me was 27 of the books I read were adult and 35 were YA, so I'm almost half and half adult and YA. I'm really interested to see in 2018 and in the future, once I'm done with graduate school and being so busy, if I lean even more towards adult, because the only reason I feel like I put off adult these days is because they're bigger, denser books and I just don't have the time or the mental energy for them a lot of times. So I'll be interested to see how that kind of morphs throughout the year, but we won't really know that until the end of the year of this year. One of my goals was to complete a star jar. I ended up not even doing this in 2016 either. I haven't done this since 2015. If you guys have been with me since 2015, you might remember this. But it's a little jar of origami stars, and it is color-coded by genre as well as if it's a 5-star read. So the pattern ones were 5 stars. I like doing this, but this was too time-consuming, and I just don't want to do something like this. So I've been trying to find some other kind of thing to use, like maybe beads or stones or something to have this nice visual representation, but I haven't done it yet, and it's not one of my concrete goals for 2018 or anything because I just keep not doing this. I then wanted to read 26 books that I already owned, so I feel like I completed this, but I'm not completely sure because I didn't really track this at all. I just kind of went through my list and was like, I'm pretty sure I owned this before 2017, but I'm not sure if I did or not. So I think I at least got 25. I'm pretty positive I got at least 25, but I'm not sure if I hit 26 or not. And for next year, well, for this year, for 2018, I have a better way of tracking this because it ties into a couple of my goals for 2018, so I'll talk about that more. I wanted to catch up on blog reviews on my blog, and I didn't end up doing this at all. I haven't touched my blog as far as the review portion since last Christmas time, and I'm not doing that right now. I don't like doing written reviews myself. That's why I never blogged before and why I do YouTube instead of blogging, because I don't feel like my personality comes through in written form. So I need to figure out something to do as far as my reviews if I want to still try to do that kind of written form thing or what I want to do with my blog. But a lot of my free time, as far as what I would have spent doing the blog stuff, went to BookNet Fest this year, and it's going to go to BookNet Fest in 2018 as well, and it just is going to do BookNet Fest. So I don't know what's going to happen with my blog, but I probably won't figure out my blog stuff until 2019. I then wanted to read 5 sci-fi books, and I ended up completing that, and those 5 were books that I included on my TBR for my 15 books that I wanted to read in 2017, and I completed that as well, and I completed that with plenty of time, so I wasn't left scrambling or anything, which was fantastic. I like doing those yearly TBRs. I'm going to continue to do that, but I'm going to change it up a little bit for 2018 and beyond. So for 2018, I'm sorry if I'm talking like faster than normal, but I'm so stressed out that this is going to get corrupted, so I'm sorry. So I'm going to continue the amount of books that I read in 2017 over into 2018 because for the majority of 2018, I will be in graduate school and internship and all this stuff still. So I'm going to plan to read 52 books in 2018. I finished graduate school in September, which is really exciting. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about it. I finished graduate school in September. I finished my internship in like May. But then I'm doubling up on some classes. So my schedule is going to be really, really full and you guys are probably sick of hearing about it, but I'm sick of living it. So if I have to live the stress and the hardship, then you guys can hear about it a little bit. So that's why I keep talking about it. But you guys will see how much of a change there is in like how much I'm allowed to read and just my enjoyment of life once grad school is done. But being done with the internship is really going to help, even though then I'll be doing like back-to-back classes for a while to graduate a little sooner. So I'm thinking 52 books will be fine. I'm going to reevaluate about halfway through the year because some of these goals you'll see I'll kind of reevaluate. So we'll see how I'm doing and if I can up that or not, or if I even have to lower it or what ends up happening with my whole schedule. But I'm thinking 52 is manageable. I can at least read a book a week on average, even if I'm not reading a book a week. And 26 of those books are books I want to have already owned as of right now. So my physical TBR is the one that matters. I have 77 books on my physical TBR, and that is the TBR that matters, even though I have a hypothetical TBR on Goodreads. I'm trying to get my physical TBR down. So I want to read 26 already owned books, and the books on my yearly TBR are going to be already owned books, so that's going to kind of contribute to that, and it always kind of does. But this year I'm going to have a different way of kind of tracking that, because one of my other goals is to read books within 6 months of getting them. So obviously these books aren't going to really count in that 6-month thing, because a lot of these I've had for more than 6 months. But as books come in from now on, I'm going to be tabbing them with like those tabs that people use to tab up books and like annotate them. I'm getting some which I haven't gotten yet, but I got some in a bunch of different colors for all the months of the year, and I can't show you, but I will in the future if you guys want me to show you either by like Snapchat or Instagram or do a video on it, although it'll probably be a really short video if I did. But if you want me to show you how I'm going to do this, I will in some form. But I'm going to tab them up, so every month when I get a book, I'm going to put a tab on it that corresponds with that month. So as I'm picking books, I can pick things and get them off my shelf sooner. So a lot of the books are going to be like first in, first out kind of thing. Like I want to try to get books read very quickly. So 6 months I think is manageable for while I'm in school. After school I might be able to move that up, bump it up to like after 3 months or whatever, but that's the goal, and I'll be able to visually see it. I'm also thinking about doing like a spreadsheet so I can actually track like how long it does take me to get a book read. So I might do a little bit of both, but I like having the visual representation because I visually look at my bookshelf and mood read and pick things based on my mood, so I need to see like the physical representation of that. As far as my physical TBR as well, I want to get down to 50 books on my physical TBR as of Christmas of 2018. So I know I'm going to get books for Christmas. I don't want that to kind of throw me off. So I want to get down to 50 books on my physical TBR by Christmas. I don't know how that's gonna go. I figure I read about 4 books a month, sometimes more, sometimes less, and hopefully I'll be even more strict about what books I'm bringing in so I can manage that, hopefully. So it's not a huge goal, and we'll kind of reevaluate again throughout the year, but that's what I'm hoping. And then in 2019 and beyond, I can really focus on condensing down my TBR. Because I like reading books when I'm really excited about them, so the sooner I get them off my shelf, the better, and the smaller my TBR is, the more I'll be excited about like everything I'm picking up. Then I have a few more abstract goals. So one of those is to read 5 space operas. So last year was to read 5 science fiction books in general, and I discovered last year with that kind of project that I prefer character-driven or action-y science fictions. So space operas tend to fall into both of those realms. I don't like hard sci-fi or stuff based on like true theories or really overly science-y stuff that feels like a textbook. It doesn't really work for me. So I want to focus on the sci-fi that I like, and that is definitely space operas. I already have some in mind. I'm going to keep looking into some more. I want some lady-led space operas, so we'll see. And the other thing is I want to finally try a real grimdark fantasy this year. I've always thought that I'd be into grimdark. Grimdark has like different definitions because everybody has a different definition for different genres, but it's more of a darker fantasy, so it usually ends up following anti-heroes or anti-villains or even potentially villains as the protagonists, and it tends to be like a darker, grittier fantasy world, and like the characters are very complex and their morals might not always be the hero type morals. So I've always thought that that would be something that I really loved, but I've never read an actual grimdark fantasy story yet. So like Joe Abercrombie, Mark Lawrence, and John Gwynne are 3 authors that are very prominently well known in the grimdark world, and they're male authors, but that tends to be the very big grimdark thing. So I'm going to try them out, see if I like grimdark, see if my estimations are correct. And my last goal is just a reading time and making time for reading goal, and that is I want to read 15 minutes per day on weekdays or like work days and 30 minutes per day on weekends. So this is so I'm reading no matter what. A lot of times throughout this last year, I wasn't reading when I really wanted to be, and I noticed that back in like 2015 or 2016, one of the things that I did a lot was I would set a timer for like 30 minutes, and I would take breaks of more monotonous things that I was doing, like video games or like watching YouTube videos, which are 2 hobbies that I also really like, but I would find that I would be like, wow, I've been playing video games or watching YouTube videos for 3 hours. I could have read for half an hour in that time, and I want to read, and I just, like, you forget, you kind of, like, just drown in that kind of, like, hobby. So I want to start doing that again, where I can kind of trade off, and I did this a lot during the holidays, and it was really good, and I really liked it, and it got me really excited for reading again. So I'm going to do that, so where I'm reading a little bit every day, no matter what. Even when life is really busy, I can read 15 minutes in a day, and then I can work through books at a pace that I'm really comfortable with, even when I'm really busy. So I do have a TBR as well for the year, and I'm actually breaking it up this time. So I'm going to be reading 16 books total in the year from a yearly TBR, but I'm breaking it into books that I want to read between January and June, and then July and December. Because I found in previous years that about halfway through the year, I've started to lose interest in some of those books that I put on the TBR at the very beginning, and I would rather read other books that I've gotten, you know, halfway through the year, or just other things are grabbing my interest or whatever. So I'm breaking it up, and that way you'll get a mid-year goal TBR kind of like wrap-up thing as well, which is fun because I just really love these kinds of goal-setting videos. I love the halfway mark ones, and I love these. Like, I love these kinds of videos more than I like people's favorites or least favorite books of the year. Like, these goal videos, I just eat up. So it'll be exciting to do one halfway through the year and even have my next half of the year TBR. And since it'll be closer to when I'm graduating, I can put even more books on there if I want to, and like I can kind of evaluate how it's going. So these are the books that I want to read in the first half of the year. And midway through this list is when you'll actually jump to past me. So forgive me, that's just how this video is going to be. I'm really sorry. So the first book on my first half of the year TBR is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is the first book in the Greatcoat series, which is a fantasy that's sort of like Three Musketeers-y, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about it from so many people. I've meaning to read this. A lot of you guys on my KonMari, my TBR video, thought that I was getting rid of this, and no, it was definitely on my keep list. Do you guys even know me? It's like all I've been talking about, that I want to read this book ASAP, and I keep putting it off because I just know I'm going to love it. But I'm going to read it now, obviously soon, because that's how all of these books are going to be. So then I'm going to continue to say that throughout this whole like TBR video process, but this is on my first half of the year TBR. It's happening. I'm so excited. Then we have Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This is the third book in the original Red Rising trilogy. This series is now continuing, but I still have to finish the original trilogy, and this is supposed to be a heart-stopping, tear your heart out, emotional finale, and I am very, very much ready for it. This whole series has just been a whirlwind for me, and I am ready to get into this and be done with this trilogy and then continue on in this world. I love it, and it's a finale that I don't think is going to disappoint. Speaking of finales that are going to tear my heart out, we have The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. This is the third book in the Broken Earth trilogy, and it's going to be amazing. I know it is. This series is amazing. It's another series I started in 2017, and I'm not emotionally ready for it, but I keep, like, putting it off. Well, I didn't own it until Christmas, but I keep being like, I can't read it yet. And I'm making myself read it now. So this is actually the book that I'm reading as I'm filming this. I'm going to start it after this, and I'm not ready. This is going to be great. Then we have The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is probably the largest one on this list for now, because I'm trying to keep the big books. Well, I mean, some of these are pretty big already. I'm trying to keep the big books to a minimum because I have to read these within 6 months and school and everything, and I can read the big books after school, you know? Like, fun things can happen after school, but I really want to get to this one. I've been eyeing it since I got it for my birthday. This is the first book in an adult fantasy series, and it's called a Silk Punk, I believe, series. So instead of being inspired by, like, Victorian London, it's inspired by, like, Chinese history, and if that took off, and that kind of science took off, like ancient China. So I'm very intrigued. I've heard mostly good things about it. There's a few people that don't like it, but I've heard mostly good things, so I'm very excited to get to this soon. Then for more sci-fi, we have Autonomous by Anna Lee Newitz. This sounds like a very action-y science fiction story. It's following this kind of vigilante who is creating this drug that people end up getting addicted to their work, so it kind of goes awry, and so she's on the run in this, like, spaceship submarine thing, and then there's a government agent, like soldier, and a robot, like an AI, who are chasing after her, and it's kind of like this AI story, which I really like, those kind of AI themes, what makes a person and all this stuff, who is the monster, who's the bad guy, all these kind of morally gray things in a science fiction story that sounds very action-packed, so I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for all of these, but like I'm so excited that I have to tell you I'm excited, so even though it's like, duh, you're excited, Samantha, like, I have to tell you. Then we have The Falconer by Elizabeth May. This is apparently an apocalyptic type fantasy story. It's the first book in a YA fantasy trilogy, and it's fairly underrated, but the people that love it really, really love it, and people say that it's like a better version of like ACOTAR, or how ACOMAF should have been. Like a really good finale, all this stuff with the Fae. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I also follow this author on Twitter, and she is wonderful, so it gives me very high hopes. It gives me very high hopes for these badass ladies and these dark, twisty fae. I'm ready. Then continuing on with another series that I already know that I love, we have Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. Again, this is another big book. I thought I wasn't putting big books in this list, but here we are because I can't deny them. This is the second book in the Expanse series, so I've heard that the series just gets better and better. I liked the first book as a foundational book, but everyone says that it gets better. It's a space opera, and I am very ready for more of this. The first book was dark, kind of like space crime noir story, and this is just going to expand on that world and everything that happened and these dumbfound families, and I am here for it. And the last book is Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. This is the first book in another science fiction series, but it's supposed to be like science fiction mixed with the Enlightenment period. Everyone that I've heard talk about this has mostly had good things to say about it, although this is the only book on this list that I'm a little skeptical about. It could be a book that I hate, but it could be a book that I love. Like, I don't think I'm going to be in between with this book at all. But this is a very different science fiction. Everyone says it's just so different. It's so different from anything else. Everyone has said this is a very unique science fiction story and science fiction world, so I'm excited to see how I feel about this. Hopefully I love it, but it could go either way. But hopefully I love it. So that is it for my first half of the year TBR, as well as my 2018 reading goals. So comment down below, let me know how you did in your 2017 reading goals, and let me know if you have any really pressing 2018 reading goals. Do you have a yearly TBR like I do? Comment down below and let me know. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all guys soon. Bye!